Welcome all to the Alaska Bigfoot Studies. Really enjoying our short fall, our autumn in Alaska. And I got the opportunity to meet Nick Johnson from Unboxing America. I'll do a short clip with him. All right, I'm with Nick Johnson with Unboxing America. Tell us a little bit about the channel.
So Kim and I travel the country and we talk about all the different places that kind of aren't really seen off the main road. We do cover some big cities and all that, but that's everybody can do that. So we try to paint a picture of the country and talk about the issues and the changes and all the stuff that goes on.
Okay.
In parts of the country that you normally probably wouldn't see, and get off the road and talk to people and investigate stuff. And
Well, I was tickled you contacted me because you're interested in Bigfoot. What kind of interests you about Bigfoot?
I've always been interested in the types of stuff that might be undiscovered, UFOs, Bigfoot, big Sasquatches, ghosts, all the stuff that is out there that people talk about. We have traveled a lot, and I'm always fascinated when we go to places and they're like, oh, there's been a lot of UFO activity here, or the place you're staying in is super haunted. I think it would be wonderful, but actually pretty intimidating to actually one day stumble onto something that you have heard about that you probably wouldn't ever see.
Right.
So like whenever we go to places and they're like, this place is super haunted or super spooky, I always like to go out and see if I can see it. Never have yet, but one day maybe.
Awesome. Well, we're doing a little mini expedition today. We're out in the mountains in the Chuke mountain range and hoping to discover something.
Yeah, it's a little rainy right now. It's been pretty rainy. We've learned this is fall pretty much. I think we got here, it was summer, and we've been here so long. Now we're into fall, and maybe it'll be winter by the time the day's over based on what we've been seeing here in this state. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man.
So it was pretty funny. He's doing a trip in Alaska, and he was announcing to his viewers that, I'm going to Alaska. What should I do? What places should I go to? And one of his regular viewers mentioned, oh, you should hook up with Chuke. Go find Chuke. So he messaged me, and I come to find out that he is very interested in Bigfoot and Bigfoot research and stories. So we had a lot of fun. We actually did a little day expedition. I took him to a spot in the mountains in the forest. We wanted to look at some real squatchy woods with big trees. And we just went up there and talked about different aspects of Bigfoot investigation. And it really made me think about a couple things. One thing I wanted to go over is some of my gear for Bigfoot investigation. And I do have a couple things I've changed out. Most notably is I finally got an InReach satellite messenger. Now this is the Garmin InReach Mini 2. So Beans Baxter, I got to kind of see him work with his full-size InReach from Garmin, and it was really cool. We were way out in the middle of nowhere on our last expedition, or second to last, and actually he had it on both, but he was able to text his family just using satellite coverage. So this is a no-brainer. Also for hunting, I am going out on a actual bear hunt / Bigfoot investigation here in another week, and I will be out of cell phone service, so I will be using this. Very excited. I already got it up and running. It's just fascinating what you can do with that kind of technology. So that's the main thing I have added to my list of equipment. But I have a backpack here. This is my Sasquatch investigation backpack. Obviously I got a tactical tomahawk there. I do have some bear spray here because we're going into pretty squatchy areas, or berry areas as we like to say. Of course I have a firearm. I wanted to talk about that. So I've been carrying this 357 SIG. It's got an extended barrel on it, so it's like a 4.7 inch barrel, I believe, but a lot of people would say that's small, and typically I say, for a Sasquatch, use whatever you would use for a bear, but I really think a Sasquatch would be easier to hurt even with a 9mm than a bear, mainly because Sasquatch are standing upright. They've got all their organs exposed. from the encounters I've heard, sometimes they're shaggy, sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's like an ape chest with more shaggy hair on the arms and different areas. It doesn't look like it would take much to penetrate that. We also have stories from Western Alaska, the hairy man stories, where hunters have actually killed a Bigfoot before, which is really fascinating. And that is with a conventional hunting rifle. Faster. So I definitely think that just a really stout 40 Smith & Wesson caliber could do the job on a Bigfoot. Obviously you want 44 Magnum, 10 millimeter, you know, all the big bore revolvers, shotguns. You want something big, especially up here if you're going out investigating, there's bears around. You want something that could, you know, help you with bears. So the 357 SIG was a little small, but that's what I had today, and I felt pretty confident with it. With that barrel and the ammo I'm using, I'm getting like 630, 640 foot-pounds of energy, which is just incredible. So there's a lot of stopping power there. So moving on to, I've got a first aid kit here. I've got several of these Baofeng walkie-talkies, which I really like, because you have to be careful not to use the wrong VHF channels, but you can use some of the UHF channels and some of the other channels without having a special license. But boy, these will just go for hundreds of miles sometimes. If you've got a straight shot, you can go for a very long time. So I have a pair of these that I will use on investigations, and especially if we split up, which a lot of times we do, that comes in really handy. Of course, a good pair of binoculars where I could really see stuff when you're investigating. Just like hunting, you want to be able to scan the mountainside, the forest, wherever you get into a clearing, you really want to be able to see. Next, this is something I got from Alex Petikoff, my Bigfoot journal / paranormal journal, where I can write down all the interesting things, dates, what the weather was, reports, and it's just full of all kinds of fun little things. Fun side note is my cryptid sighting that was a sort of like a kangaroo cat dog man. This is the area I'm going to be going to hunt bears, and I am going to be looking for this. Could have been a mountain lion, but it had those big kangaroo ears. I just don't know what that was. That's the only really weird cryptid thing I've seen with my own eyes. I was looking at it from, you know, probably 80 yards away out of a scope. Just really fascinating. So definitely something to keep a journal with. I've got my second radio here. Then something interesting. This is more in the paranormal realm, and I was telling Nick about that, is I've got a electromagnetic spectrum reader. Now this is an instrument that will pick up any electric frequencies, magnetic waves. It's really interesting, especially when we start getting into the woo factor of Bigfoot, which I do believe in. We'll talk about that. I think that this could come in really handy just as an instrument to, you know, tell you what your environment is. I also like a lot of flashlights. Now this one is interesting because I got the kind of a tip from Beans Baxter. He uses a red light in camp, or if he's not trying to disturb the environment, because it doesn't, you know, shoot out as far as the white light, I guess, and you can just keep it really dim and just kind of, you know, illuminate stuff real close by that you want to look at and not scare everything off. So I do have that. There's other things too, all your camping essentials and things like that, but just going prepared, and obviously food, water, weapons, a way to get the elements off you, stay dry and warm, is very important. But we were talking about Bigfoot, and Nick asked me, what evidence have I seen that really makes me believe in Bigfoot? And there was a few things I talked to him about. One of the things, as far as evidence I have seen myself, would have to be the upside down trees on Prince of Wales Island. That was the most incredible thing I've ever seen, because these were big trees, you know, some of them were this big around, that had been somehow uprooted and shoved, you know, for feet down in the ground. They're standing straight up with their roots exposed. Just the oddest thing, and you don't find it in nature too much. It was on Prince of Wales Island. I think it was near Kolawak. And what scientists say is they believe a windstorm swept up those trees and then turned them upside down, you know, ripped them apart and shoved them straight back into the earth. I just can't see that happening. I don't know what kind of windstorm would make a whole field of those, you know, in different areas do that. Now, the local indigenous tribal members do have some legends where they say that was Bigfoot showing its sign of strength. Just, you know, look at us. We don't mess with us because we have the power to rip these trees out and shove them down in the ground. So I really like that, and just seeing that for myself, I mean, it was amazing wonder. So there's that. I have found some interesting tracks that were just large. You know, it couldn't be a bear track because there wasn't claw things, and it was too long for a, you know, the rear pad of a bear. Really good impressions. Some interesting things where it looks almost like a Sasquatch was making a shelter by, you know, stacking up sticks in the middle of nowhere where there's no people at. So just things like that. And then as far as what other people have uncovered, some of the DNA evidence that Beans and Rob Roy were talking about were pretty impressive, where these researchers have found hairs, and then the DNA is analyzed and some of it comes out as unknown, not human. To me, that's fascinating. I think that should tell zoologists something right there, and scientists, that something's out there. But what I told Nick is, you know, I probably would be more on the skeptical side, like, there's no Bigfoot, if it wasn't for all these indigenous tribes that have all these stories that you hear just all over the continent about hairy man, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, all these interesting stories. And I just keep going back to Western Alaska, and I was telling them about, you know, the stories that there was one story there where a hunter had killed a Sasquatch, and then some Sasquatch started harassing him after that. Just crazy. And then there's another story there where a Sasquatch ripped a dog in half, the hairy man. Not a nice creature, and that's what I was telling him. In at least south central Alaska, you know, we're only a couple hundred miles from Port Chatham where all that stuff happened. The Sasquatch around here, I don't believe, are benevolent, nice creatures. You know, the quiet Bigfoot of Northern California that might smack a tree or throw a rock to scare you off. I mean, these things have hurt people before, and you know, they're just wild animals, and you know, they can hurt you. So I'm just having a ball. We're gonna do some more expeditions before the snow hits, which we've got a good couple months, so I'm excited about that. But you do feel a little nip in the air here. So I just wanted to say hello to all my viewers. Shout out to Jomo and the kids, everybody who's tuning into their Sunday morning cartoon Chuke Bigfoot goodness. We're gonna keep the videos coming. It's been over a year of every Sunday making these videos. I'm not going to quit anytime soon. It's just so much fun. It's something I'm passionate about. So let me know what you guys think, what equipment I might need to get. And like I said, I'm very excited to have a satellite messenger because Beans has one. And since he's one of my contacts, he's already uploaded into this. So even if we get separated, you know, we can message each other. Hey, I'm over here. This happened. I'm hurt. You know, whatever. We can call for help. Really good tool to have in your kit. So thanks for tuning in, everyone, and I'll see you next Sunday.